Hey guys, today I want to go over some really important things, and that's how to structure a really fun and good lower or leg day. Because a lot of people really seem to dislike legs and don't hit two times frequency. So I want to go over some things that might help you have a better time, make it a little less brutal. So, one is volume. If you're slamming your day with a ton of compounds, say mixing a few sets of a heavy squat, a few sets of a heavy deadlift, and then going really big into, say, an RDL or an SLDL, you're really going to be shooting yourself in the foot here because you're just doing very heavy, fatiguing compound movements after the other. Because if you're doing that type of stuff, or you're doing, say, like someone who does super high volume, and you're doing 4 sets for each of them, you're gonna feel that for a while. It's gonna seem a lot more brutal than it has to be. So, what I'd say is if you really want to get the most out of your training there without stacking on unnecessary junk volume like that, I would really switch to one compound movement and doing a lot more isolations. I do squats as my main compound movement. Currently, I'm doing a hack squat, but previously, I was doing a normal squat. And I just find it to be a lot more fun if I do 1 to 2 very hard sets of a squat, 0 to 1 reps in reserve, because I find with those types of movements, I progress my best with reps in reserve, where I'm not stacking up unnecessary fatigue. And for me, that's what brought my squat from 185 pounds for 4 to an over 2 times body weight 365 in less than 2 months. Was doing about one heavy set and then isolations for the rest of my workout. And I think something that a lot of people could also benefit from is cutting their warm up time back. You don't have to wait very long in between your warm ups. You should wait to where you feel comfortable, but usually you should be going to about 75% of your working weight and then up. You don't have to go increase by 5 pounds. You see a lot of people do that where they increase by just such marginal weight where you're really not getting much benefit from it. So, to really maximize return on investment for your compounds, I would do 1 to 2 very heavy sets in a rep range that's comfortable for you. And I would try and cut down your warm ups as much as possible. You shouldn't cut them up to where you're not able to do them, but you should still hit a solid build up to that 75% because warm ups are important on compounds. So after a compound, I usually go into isolations after that. I do a calf raise. I think calf raises are very important for the most people. A lot of people don't really develop their calves, and they're a fun muscle group once you understand how to train them. So, you don't have to be terribly brutal about your calves. Personally, I find it quite inspiring to do my calves because they progress fast and they're just fun to train because they're very strong. Fast progression, heavy weights. So, I do about 1 to 2 very heavy sets of calf raises. Usually around, I do standing machine calf raises. Seated calf raises are going to cut off a certain part of your calf so you won't get as good of growth. So, you want to do a standing calf raise variation, whether you have a machine, whether you can do that on a Smith machine, I would go with that. That's the best bet that I would say to do. Do this for a bit. Very heavy. Again, 75% rule with your warm-ups. You don't want to be warming up excessively. So, from a calf raise, I then either go between a leg curl or a leg extension. Usually in my gym, leg machines are quite contended for. So, it's kind of about, for me, whatever you can get your hands on. But, preferably I would go to a leg curl. So I do that, again, 2 very heavy sets. You don't have to stack on unnecessary volume, especially because hamstrings aren't very well trained during a squat. So you're going to want to get the best return on investment, which would be 2 sets to failure. So after that, I would preferably go into a leg extension. Leg extensions are very vital. If you're someone who wants to skip a squat pattern or doesn't enjoy legs, you should always choose leg extensions over a squat because the way that your squat crosses at the hip joint will cut off a certain part of your quad activation. You lose the middle part, which is the rectus femoris. So, if you insist on not doing a squat pattern, I would start with the leg extension. So that's really good. And a lot of people do have issues with leg extensions not being heavy enough. So one of the good things that you can do is you can always do them single-legged. But I would advise waiting between your sets when you do single-legged. Wait between doing your right and your left, or your left and your right. You shouldn't do one and then go into the other unless you have a clear imbalance. If you have a clear imbalance, always start with the less developed one, and you can go into the other one without resting because you don't want as much stimulus on that other more dominant muscle group. So that's what I'd say for that. After that, it is very important to accompany your squat patterns with some hip adduction, because that part is very dominant in a squat and will help you push more weight. You can do 1 to 2 sets on this one, very heavy to failure. I would do that. Next, these two are very important if you do a squat pattern. You want to have something to train your lower back, whether that be a back extension, stiff leg deadlift, something of that vein, and you want to have some type of core movement because you do have to brace during a squat pattern. If you guys want some instruction on bracing, you want to breathe into the sides, flex your core, but expand out, a way that you can keep yourself stable and planted during a squat pattern. I found that to help me a lot. Got me to over a 2 times body weight squat in under 2 months. Of course, this is not that I'm a genetic phenom. This is muscle adaptations from a lot of work during leg extensions. But if you're someone who primarily works on a leg extension and is comfortable with all the others, you will be able to progress fast on a squat pattern. You just have to give yourself time, and you have to understand the mechanics very well because you don't want to have an injury. So, I think that will conclude it. That's a good way that I structure my day. Everyone has something different. You can also do some glutes isolation work, but I feel that I hit my glutes very well in a squat because I hit it similarly to a low bar squat where you have a little bit more glutes activation. If you're someone who needs more glutes activation, I personally would do a hip thrust. I like doing hip thrusts from time to time. Helps. I'm a pretty lower body dominant lifter, so might not be able to tell up here, but I got some stuff going on in the lower body. So sounds a little bit weird, but yeah. So if you were to follow this, you will be recovered in a couple days. So you will be able to hit 2 times frequency. Legs are an overlooked part of someone's physique development. And I just hope you guys can have as much fun with it as I can. Of course, nothing I say is entirely in absolutes. Tweak this program however you want. Take what you want. Leave what you don't want. It's about what you can have fun with. It's about what you can progress and what is safe for you. All right. Have a great night.